We are all terrorists, and we are in good company. To the end of the 90s, Nelson Mandela was on the American US terrorist list. We are terrorists, and we are at war. We are terrorists because we attack and undermine a new world order, which is the order serving to the stronger. And this is the only law which is really abiding. That's why I'm fed up with resolutions. I'm fed up with lawyers, being myself graduated in law. And I'm fed up with complaining. As a lawyer, I know that whoever commits a crime may be taken to the courts and punished. That is how it works for individuals, but not for the states. It happens that the state might be punished, like happened with Russia, which is sanctioned. But it can't happen to Israel while it's protected by the US. I don't like even the very word illegal, because better word would be criminal. These are war crimes, these are crimes against humanity, which have to be punished, and we have to stop complaining and start fighting. And when I'm talking about fighting, I don't have in mind arms. In terms of arms, most of the industrialized countries have delivered the most modern arms to the Ukrainian army, which is defending from the Russian aggression. And this is okay with me. But in the Middle East, we have a completely different situation. This is the aggressor, which is heavily armed by the biggest military power in the world, the United States. So on one hand, we arm the defendants, and on the other hand, we arm the aggressor. On one hand, we sanction, and on the other hand, we say, let's mark some products before we eat them, but still let's import them. And we don't even bother to mark them. Okay, so I see room for sanctions and for real sanctions. The EU is the first commercial partner of Israel. We have the power to make Israel behave. And nobody is discussing the legality or illegality of the settlements. Everybody agrees, even the Israeli state, by its tacit compliance, because they're just quiet about it. They don't say a word about it, but they support it with infrastructure and military protection. But nobody is questioning the fact that this is criminal. So the crime should be punished, and should be punished by not buying anything by the EU countries from Israel, like we are not buying almost anything from Russia. And now you would ask how this possible miracle might happen. It might happen if we realize what I started with, that we are at war. And this is a media propaganda psychological war. in which Israel is a master, and we have to catch up with them, and we have to open a debate which has slightly started at the last session of the UN, when Mr. Zelensky asked to label as criminal states which have invaded, attacked, and occupied other states. Who opposed? The US. Because for decades they occupy, invade, and attack other states. Somebody proposed to define Russia as a terrorist country. Americans said no. They don't want to introduce international law tools which might take them to the courts. So they will even support in some points the Russian aggressor not to be punished. So we may say that Europe and the European Union is a special place because this is one of the last places when a lot of people believe that there are some rules, that we are not barbarian, that we have to behave in a certain way. And this belief is the basis of any law in the world. If people don't believe in some law, it doesn't exist, it doesn't apply. Because this is a contract between us. This is le contrat social de Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Hein? We have this contract, and we say, okay, there are rules, let's apply them. But the problem is that the whole debate in Europe and the international debate is limited to this ping pong of resolutions and breaking resolutions, of legality, illegality. And we don't speak in terms of human rights, and we don't speak in terms of sanctioning and punishing perpetrators of criminal acts against the Palestinian people. And let's ask ourselves why it's so easy to kill a Palestinian child without provoking international outbursts of outrage, and why in other cases there is such a violent reaction. I think that one of the reasons is what Israel did on terms of psychological war. Israel presents itself as a victim and as a state and as a society which is in a very huge danger of being attacked and destroyed by whom? By Palestinians? Yes, yes. They say such a lie, and people seem to believe it or to neglect it at least. And it's obvious that the balance of forces is such that there is no such a danger. That's why one of the first principles of the huge war, psychological war and campaign for Palestine should consist in an attempt to stop fighting, to stop military acts, which are completely inefficient, and we are a huge pretext for ethnic cleansing, for killings, for crimes, and for maintaining this big lie on which is the position of Israel based, that Israel is in danger. If it is I know that this is very difficult because Palestinians are divided in all possible ways, physical, political, and Israel, as one of the speakers told very rightly, is speaking with one voice. even if governments change, the policy is the same. So on one hand, on one side, we have this coordinated campaign in social media, in the mainstream media, of this big lie of Israel in danger as a victim, which defends itself. And another way, we have these terrible attacks of Hamas, these military helpless actions, and different Palestinian factions saying different things, which is a chaos, which gives nothing. So I think that this attempt, because I'm very impressed by the high level of this debate and of this event, and I have come here mainly to learn, and I have learned a lot here, and I'm thanking for this. But I think that we can do more than that. It means we can do more than complaining, and we can start to organize this big debate and this big psychological war against Israel big lie, and with a proposal to make the European Union to force Israel to behave according to European international human rights standards. I think we can.